Hi everyone, it's Carolyn. Welcome back to another email video. And this week, I want to talk about something that can be a roadblock potentially in your awakening journey. And it kind of gets you stuck if you aren't realizing it's happening. So we'll talk about that and I'll give you my experiences and off you'll go. So anyway, thanks for joining me today. So during the awakening journey, almost all of us go through this intensive phase of wanting to learn so much. I mean, I remember I bought like 10 books in a week, and I don't buy books. I usually just, check them out but I don't buy books. I just don't have a library. But I needed to buy books, and I was reading everything under the sun on this topic and this realm and, wanting to learn more. So we really have this period of time, and it can be extensive. Like mine was about a year, maybe 9 months of just prolific learning, prolific reading. Not just reading too, but searching online, obviously, trying to connect with like-minded people to learn. The whole point is to learn. And then also going to seminars and classes and things like that. Now, I didn't do that part a lot, but I read prolifically, okay? And I was also a bit out on the internet, and then on occasion would go to a seminar. Not much of that, though. However, those are all opportunities for learning during the awakening journey. And what I have found is they're amazing opportunities to help build our foundation for this awakening journey moving forward. And here's the key, to launch us off, okay? So it's when you have that awakening, and usually the big part, well, I shouldn't say this, it happened this way with me. I don't know if it does for everybody, obviously, but a big launch forward can be after a dark night of a soul, okay? After you get through that grief and that trauma, part of that, or the difficulty of the dark night of the soul, seems like you're blasted awake, okay? So when you are, this is typically when this learning phase can happen to you. It doesn't always have to be that way, but I have found that with a lot of people. So the learning phase is the opportunity to build the foundation, because you know what? You don't know what spiritual awakening is. You don't know what's going on with you. You're trying to understand. And then pretty soon signs and messages start helping you be guided to certain kinds of learning. And with that comes a great expanse of knowledge, and you're feeling good about things, and you keep seeking more and more. But here's the key. We can get so wrapped up in learning and continuing to learn or seeking the answers, okay? And that's key. Seeking the answers that we don't think we have inside, or that we don't realize we have inside, and that we are our own great seeker, our own great knowledge keeper. And that's what the light keepers have said before. We're our own great knowledge keeper. And that's why the learning we do, that phase, is supposed to help us build the foundation to launch us forward into our own learning, our own understanding, but also to be able to then move us forward into, well, what do we want to do with that now? Versus what can happen oftentimes with continued learning, you get stuck in this loop of constant searching for learning and answers. And that's good and well, but we're also creative beings, and we're meant to create out of this experience of spiritual awakening, whatever that might be. And I don't mean creating out of, necessarily a big business affecting thousands of people, but what is it you're drawn to as you start moving forward on this journey, as you start learning? That's the part to be thinking about, because what happened with me, and I think I had a pretty reasonable amount of time where I was literally obsessed with learning, and it was 9 months. That seems like a lot, and I think it fluctuates with everybody, but for me it felt right. And then all of a sudden, naturally, I put the books away. I gave the books away, never thinking that would ever happen. I quit kind of searching online for answers. I quit watching videos. And now, honestly, and I'm not saying this is the path you're going to take, but I'm saying this is how it transitioned for me. I don't watch anything really online any longer other than just fun stuff. And it doesn't have anything to do with the awakening journey or this realm. Now, granted, I channel a lot, so I get a lot of information. So that probably has something to do with it. But my whole point in this is that we don't want to let ourselves get wrapped up in constant learning and seeking answers from the outside, because learning is really about that, taking in knowledge and information that others provide us, right? But we can do learning from within as we begin to meditate, as we begin to understand ourselves better. All these learnings are things for us to help launch us forward into our own journey, into our own self, into our own wealth of information. And then from there, as you're exploring that, and you're being offered this learning, you're going to feel drawn into a certain direction of this learning. And you may realize, this is what I want to do. Not that specific process. And I don't mean that, because I firmly believe we all create our own process, regardless of, learning from somebody else. But that is the way that leads you forward, that first learning of all of this spiritual awakening. So take those knowings, those senses, those really great interests. For instance, if you have 10 books out of 12 on, I don't know, let's say, channeling. I'm just use that. Channeling or energy healing, and you're obsessed with it, then that's a thread to follow. And you could probably stop, set the books aside for now and start exploring that yourself. Start experimenting with it. Start creating your own process and your own way of doing things. Play around with it, because that's what it's about. It's about taking what we have inside, being launched off with the learning, and then creating from that in whatever way creating means for you. I am not here to promote everybody creating a business, because not everybody's supposed to. Some people are just there to hold the light for others. But you're going to find that, you're going to understand that as you move forward in your journey. But when we get wrapped up in constant learning, and that we do no I guess I would say, looking inside ourselves for some of the answers, then we're always looking to the outside for answers. So again, it is a balance. I have found then too, as I've moved forward in my journey, where I was like totally done with learning, I thought, right? I mean, not forever, but for that period of time, most definitely, as I was building my own processes, experimenting with myself, offering free sessions, those kinds of things, experimenting with some of the things, because that's what we have to do, is try and experiment and see what works, right? And in my case, that's what I was doing. And then I felt drawn back a little bit to different kinds of learning. And you're going to find that in your way too. So all I'm here to tell you today is be aware of that, because I think our human self can do that to us and have us looking always to the outside for answers. Learning is fantastic and a great way to launch yourself forward in the awakening, but ultimately, we want to look to ourselves. So that's what I have for you today. You're welcome to comment or send me a note, and I will respond to you as I can. And I thank you for joining me this week.